Welcome back to another episode of the Day to Day with Daidrien podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Daidrien Johnson. For my new listeners, welcome to the collective, where we unravel the nuances of cognitive thinking, problem solving, in the ever-evolving landscape of knowledge in each episode. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how to understand and accept our inner selves so that we can communicate ourselves more authentically. So I'm going to ask myself the timeless question. Then I'll dedicate the entire episode to explaining my answer. So the question is, are we supposed to be vulnerable with our women? Well, for the men listening to this right now, take a look at the society of men you live amongst right now, and can you proudly say that you are proud to live amongst these men? And if you say yes, that's only your ignorance. Imagine for 1 second that how these men treat these women wasn't just women. It was your sister or your mother. Would you let some of these men get away with such treacherous behavior? And for the women, before you emotionally destroy a man, take a moment to consider. Pause to reflect. If this were your brother or a future father figure, would you want another woman treating him this way? Respect and empathy are fundamental in every relationship, and considering how your actions could impact someone's life long after you're no longer in it is crucial. The role you play in anyone's life, big or small, is still major. No matter how much you work on yourself, you will still enter a relationship with baggage, and that baggage comes with triggers, and the baggage is always emotional. And when someone gets emotional, you will always be dealing with their past, never the person you're standing in front of. And if the person in the past did right by themselves by showing respect and empathy, which are crucial in any relationship, and thinking about how your actions could affect someone else's life far after you are no longer in it, it's important. Why is it important, Daidrien? Because right now the person soon to be in the past is you. So you have to do right by yourself, especially before someone else does right by you. Everyone is shown how to start a relationship, but who is showing us how to leave one? If you still don't know, let's do a generation comparison of the men you are closest to in history. Let's start with the generation of World War II. That's the greatest generation of men to ever live for a reason. So from the 40s to the 60s, all the way to the 90s, where times and relationships seem so much better than ours, what went wrong? What did they know that we didn't? Let me tell you where we went wrong. Men lost their ability to be vulnerable due to change in music. Hip-hop has done more damage to society than male white supremacy. Listen to the music from those times. Notice how men spoke about their women and their songs back then and compare it to how they talk about our women now. Consider today's role models and then consider those role models in that time. If you want to shape a generation, give them movies and music. Give them entertainment. We all listen to music and watch movies, and for some of us, it serves as an escape from reality. Now, what did they know that we didn't? They knew how to have a balance between acknowledging and understanding emotions while also considering rational thinking and self-control, which is no longer taught anymore. And this was taught through osmosis, by observing. And what are we observing today? Now, why isn't this taught anymore? Here's my analysis. Have you ever heard of the game Monkey See, Monkey Do? For those of you who don't know, it's a game of mimicry. Learning something by mimicry, okay, is without understanding how it works or concerned with the consequences. And when you get dealt the consequences, we blame everybody else but ourselves. Now, men having a good woman on our shoulders says more to the world than our achievements does. And if you can't see that, you are part of the problem, because she can give you something you can't give yourself on your own, and that's a family. She is going to make that house a home and many other things, okay? Also, she is someone you cannot control, like one of your businesses. And for the men who are successful without a woman, I'm sure your driving force was one. And I bring this up to say Some men will always think the baddest I can get isn't the baddest I can get and will forever have a wondering eye and act on it because they know how valuable it makes them look. So to get to the point, if a man sees another man with a beautiful woman or always with beautiful women, he will take his advice on how to talk to women, even if the advice is wrong. Monkey see, monkey do. And when you get dealt the consequences, you blame everybody else but yourself. And this works both ways, men and women. You took advice from a journey that was not your own. What works for someone else might not work for you. And if you take advice from someone else and it doesn't work out, the best way to learn from that is to blame yourself, because from doing so, you will start to become the real you. So I'll say it again. Do you remember who you were before the world told you who you needed to be? Because God can bless who you pretend to be. Ladies, let me tell you something, all right? Do you know why men keep going back to their exes? Let me tell you why. Because I care about y'all too, and I also don't want to see you in pain. Men run back to their exes because after their ex broke them, they broke the person they pretended to be. Whoever they looked up to, that is the person that they were in a relationship with. Whoever they get advice from, that is the person they were in a relationship with. And they would hate to be judged in that light for the rest of their life based off a chapter she walked into. This is something that they can't even communicate about themselves or see for themselves because they always refuse to do the inner work. This is why they are still in love. This is why they want a second chance to do it right the second time, because this time you will be falling in love with the real me. This is vice versa for women too. What I just told you, most people will never figure out for themselves. Even if they do get a second chance or 100, they will still get it wrong because nobody wants to do the inner work. It's difficult to be vulnerable with your partner when you haven't embraced vulnerability within yourself. This is why many men struggle to open up, the lack of understanding of how to do so. And if I can still attract women without knowing how to be vulnerable, you might follow his advice, even if it's flawed. Monkey see, monkey do. It's easy to tell somebody what not to do, especially when you're not doing it. And the men who aren't vulnerable are making up for it in other departments like height, looks, money, status, etc., which are all unfulfilling and doesn't fit the requirements for a long-term relationship because they aren't real values. But imagine having all those qualities and emotional intelligence. This is top 1%. Why would someone need emotional intelligence when they have height or looks? So they will lack in other departments because they don't need to work on themselves as much as someone who doesn't have that. Working on yourself will suck in the beginning, but it will be worth it in the end, and you will come out on top. Growth happens over time and then suddenly, but you have to trust the process. It's not supposed to be easy. Nothing worth having comes easy. You can take my advice or you can leave it here, but I'm somebody who already made the mistake. I'm somebody who already failed a bunch of times before telling you or anybody what to do. I'm somebody who was put through the same pain. I'm somebody who went on a journey to understand the mind. I'm somebody who did the inner work. So I'm somebody who can lead you to greatness. Nothing takes more courage than putting yourself back together. So if you're listening to this and you're one of those people, pat yourself on the back. You deserve it. One day, your life will flash before your eyes. So make sure it's worth watching. So do what's right, not for others, but for yourself. And by doing what's right as a byproduct, unintentionally, you will look out for the next person. Because remember, you are the person soon to be in the past. Also remember, it's not that women don't want to be impressed. They want to be impressed by gesture, not the man. And gesture is genuine. And genuine recognizes genuine. And you can't be genuine without being vulnerable. And that's why it's hard to find, because that's what sustains a long-term relationship, not looks. They say looks kill for a reason. Just be careful on who you decide to be vulnerable with. But you have to be vulnerable enough to put yourself out there so you can have enough discernment to weed out bad players. So do the inner work. It'll be worth it in the end. So to answer the ageless question, should men be vulnerable with their women? Yes. Yes, you should. To a certain extent. And most importantly, the right woman. How can she help you if she doesn't know what the problem is? That is my time, ladies and gents. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the real world. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Day to Day with Daidrien podcast. I really hope that it left you inspired and informed, and I really hope that it left you ready to take on new challenges. If you enjoyed what you heard today, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review, because it's your feedback that helps me keep going. And I want to say thank you for being the best part of my podcast community. I could not be here without you guys. And with that being said, goodbye for now. Thank you.